Good morning, class. Now, on our previous turn, I had started explaining the light phase of photosynthesis, and I had explained the two types of photosystems that exist. Now, we had seen photosystem 1 is made up of as I told you, each photosystem is made up of about 230 to 400 pigment molecules. Now, in photosystem 1, the reaction center is formed by chlorophyll A, which absorbs 700 nanometer of light of 700 nanometer wavelength. Now, the different pigments absorb light energy and transfer it to the reaction center, and an electron is released. Now, we are going to see how this leads to phosphorylation. That is, phosphorylation means formation of ATP. In light reaction, we had studied that the product of light reaction is ATP, NADPH, and water is oxidized to oxygen. These are the end products of light reaction. We are doing light reaction, steps of light reaction, and these products then help to form glucose, or we say carbohydrates, from carbon dioxide. By the reduction of carbon dioxide, hydrogen is supplied and ATP is provided by the light reaction. These are the products of the light reaction which are needed for the dark reaction. That is why we said light reaction or photochemical reaction is dependent on light, because without absorbing light, chlorophyll absorbs light, an electron is released, and then that's how the reaction takes place. And the products of the light reaction are required to form glucose. That is, reduction of carbon dioxide will take place only if the light reaction occurs, and this is dark reaction. Dark reaction is independent of light. That does not mean that it takes place in dark. It means that it is independent of light. Only the products of the light reaction are needed for the dark reaction or the photosynthetic second phase, photosynthetic phase of photosynthesis. So here we see photosystem 1. Photosystem 1 has a reaction center, chlorophyll A, which absorbs light of wavelength 700 nanometer, whereas photosystem 2 is also made up of several molecules of pigments, but the reaction center is just one molecule of chlorophyll A, which absorbs the maximum absorption is at 680 nanometers. So this will give out an electron. Now, as I told you, phosphorylation means formation of ATP from ADP, and because ATP formation takes place in presence of light, we call it photophosphorylation. Photo means light. So, photophosphorylation, the process through which ATP is synthesized by cell, is named phosphorylation, and photophosphorylation is the synthesis of ATP from ADP, an inorganic phosphate, in the presence of light. So, as a result of photophosphorylation, light energy is converted into usable chemical energy in the form of high energy phosphate bonds. Photophosphorylation is accomplished by two pathways. One is called the cyclic photophosphorylation, the other is called the non-cyclic photophosphorylation, and this is actually through the electron transport system. How the electron is transported. So, photophosphorylation involving the cyclic electron transport system is called cyclic photophosphorylation. That is when only photosystem 1 is functional. The electron is circulated within the photosystem, and the phosphorylation occurs due to cyclic flow of electrons. In that case, we call it cyclic photophosphorylation. And when photophosphorylation involving non-cyclic electron transport system takes place, it is called non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Here the two photosystems work in a series. First photosystem 2 and then the photosystem 1. Therefore, since the two systems work together and the flow of electron is cyclic, not cyclic, so we call it non-cyclic photophosphorylation. And I have drawn this for you. This is non-cyclic photophosphorylation, where we see photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Both are functional, and we will see how the electron is transported and how NADPH is formed, which is required for the dark reaction. Now, non-cyclic photophosphorylation is the main process in which the plants harvest light energy. It involves both the photosystems, photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Electrons expelled by the reaction center pigment molecules are not returned back to them. You can see electron expelled from photosystem 1 is accepted by the primary acceptor, which is then accepted by ferredoxin, which then goes to NADP, and hydrogen by the splitting of water combines with NADP, forms NADPH. This NADPH is then utilized in the dark reaction. So this electron which is emitted from photosystem 1 does not come back to photosystem 1 but is used for the formation of NADPH. So we call it non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Now the oxidized P700 molecule comes back to its ground state. It has emitted an electron, it is in an excited state. It will come to its ground state by accepting the electron which is emitted by photosystem 2. Photosystem 2 absorbs light energy, emits an electron which is accepted by the primary acceptor, then by plastoquinone, and then by cytochrome system. ATP is formed here, and from plastocyanin the electron then goes to the photosystem 1. So this is removed for dark reaction, and electron comes back to photosystem 1 from photosystem 2. Non-cyclic photophosphorylation needs a constant supply of water molecules. These water molecules are split. So these water molecules are providing electron to photosystem 2 for the reaction center of photosystem 2 to come to its ground state, because this is giving its electron to photosystem 1 so that reaction center P700 can come to its ground state. Now this becomes excited. So this excited P680 chlorophyll A molecule gets electron by the splitting of water. So this is called photolysis of water. So this was about the non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Now we will do the cyclic photophosphorylation. So I will draw the figure for cyclic photophosphorylation and then explain cyclic photophosphorylation. So now I have made the figure for cyclic photophosphorylation, and as I told you, cyclic photophosphorylation occurs in photosystem 1. Why? Because the electron that is emitted out due to excitation of the chlorophyll A molecule at the reaction center by absorption of photons of light. This electron is returned back to the reaction center so that it can come to its ground state. And in this only ATP is formed. NADPH is not formed, as we had seen in contrast in the non-cyclic photosystem where non-cyclic photophosphorylation where both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 reaction center P680 were involved. So P700 was emitting an electron which was then helping in the formation of NADPH. NADPH was say a raw material or was being utilized in dark reaction. In this case, in cyclic photophosphorylation, NADPH is not formed, only ATP is formed, and the electron is returned through a series of electron transporters back to reaction center P700 so that it can return to its ground state, because it had become excited on absorption of photon and had released electron. This electron is then returned back and ATP formation takes place. That is why we call it phosphorylation, takes place in presence of light, so we call it photophosphorylation. So the second type of photophosphorylation is cyclic photophosphorylation, which is associated with only photosystem 1, and the site is stroma lamellae. To remind you, we had studied the structure of chloroplast where we had seen that thylakoids pile up like a stack of coins and form the grana, and the grana are joined by the stroma lamellae. So stroma lamellae contain photosystem 1, they lack photosystem 2, whereas the thylakoids have both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So for cyclic photophosphorylation, the site is stroma lamellae, and for non-cyclic photophosphorylation, the site are the granule thylakoids, because they contain both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So cyclic photophosphorylation is associated only with photosystem 1 and the site is stroma lamellae. The membrane of lamellae of grana have both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. The stroma lamellae membranes lack photosystem 2 as well as NADP reductase enzyme. The electrons that are expelled by the electron that is expelled by pigment 700 does not pass to NADP but returns back to the photosystem 1. This returns back to photosystem 1 after passing through a series of electron carriers in an electron transport chain or in an electron transport system. Hence, the cyclic flow results only in the synthesis of ATP and not in NADPH formation. So this is phosphorylation in presence of light called photophosphorylation, and the two types, cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Now next we come to the chemiosmotic hypothesis. Now chemiosmotic hypothesis was proposed by Peter Mitchell. We are now going to do the chemiosmotic hypothesis, which explains phosphorylation. This was given by Peter Mitchell. Now, this is the most widely accepted explanation for mechanism of phosphorylation, that is synthesis of ATP. ATP synthesis is linked to the development of proton gradient across a membrane, that is hydrogen ion across the membrane. The process that takes place on the inner side of the membrane of the thylakoid, that is the proton ions produced, are released within the lumen of the thylakoid. I will make a diagram to explain what I am telling you just now, but listen carefully. The process that takes place on the inner side of the membrane of the thylakoid, because the protons are released within the lumen of the thylakoid. Now, as the electrons move through the two photosystems, the protons are transported across the membrane, that is from the lumen to the outside into the stroma, from the lumen of the thylakoid to the outside into the stroma of the chloroplast. This is because the primary acceptor, which is located towards the outer side of the membrane, transfers the electrons not to the electron carrier but to hydrogen carrier. Hence, the primary acceptor removes a proton from the stroma while transporting an electron. When the molecule passes on its electron to the electron carrier, like cytochrome B and F on the inner side of the membrane, the proton is released into the inner side, that is the lumen of the thylakoid. As the NADP gets reduced to NADPH and H plus by NADP reductase enzyme present on the stroma side, along with the electrons, the protons are also removed from the stroma. This proton gradient is established, which is important as it is the breakdown of this gradient that will lead to the release of energy. This gradient gets broken down due to the movement of protons across the membrane through the transmembrane channel of F0 of the ATPase towards the stroma. ATPase enzyme is also called ATP synthetase, and it has two parts, F0 and F1. F0 is embedded in the membrane and it forms a transmembrane channel that carries protons across the membrane, whereas the second part of it, F1, protrudes on the outer surface of the thylakoid membrane facing the stroma. Now I will just draw a figure showing you the thylakoid and the various electron transporters and the ATP enzyme, ATPase enzyme, and what I have said will become clear to you. So this is the thylakoid. Now the lumen of the thylakoid contains protons, and we will see that there are two photosystems, photosystem 2 and photosystem 1, that are present on the membrane. Now the first step is, by photosystem 2, water is split to form hydrogen ions and oxygen, and electron is also produced. Now as I told you, this is the thylakoid, let me label it here. This is the thylakoid membrane, and outside the thylakoid is the stroma. Then there is cytochrome B and F on the thylakoid. Proton from the stroma move into the lumen, and this is by the electron carriers, moves into the lumen. There are protons in the lumen. Then the enzyme ATPase has two parts, F0 and F1. So these protons move out, ADP forms ATP. This is ATPase enzyme, which is also called ATP synthase, and we will see that photosystem 1 from NADP forms NADPH, because there is an enzyme here called NADP reductase, which reduces NADP to NADPH due to NADP reductase enzyme. in the stroma. You know, stroma is the site for dark reaction, and the thylakoid is the site for light reaction. So these are the products of light reaction and oxygen. So we see first splitting of water takes place, then second we can say release of hydrogen ions by the electron carriers, then hydrogen ions from the stroma are moving into the lumen. So here we can say third step, hydrogen ions removed from stroma move into the lumen, and there they combine with NADP and form NADPH. So this is called chemiosmotic hypothesis to explain phosphorylation, and it is the most widely accepted hypothesis given by Peter Mitchell. I will once again read out with the diagram. I will once again read out the steps that I had read earlier and explained. So we say ATP synthesis is linked to development of a proton gradient across the membrane. Across the membrane means across the thylakoid membrane. Gradient of proton that is developed. The process that takes place on the inner side of the membrane of thylakoid, because protons produced are released within the lumen of the thylakoid. As electrons move through the photosystems, as we have seen how electrons move between photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. Earlier I have explained this. Protons are transported across the membrane. This is because the primary acceptor, which is located towards the outer side of the membrane, transfers the electron not to the electron carrier but to the hydrogen carrier. Hence, the primary acceptor removes a proton from the stroma while transporting an electron. When the molecule passes on its electron to the electron carrier, like cytochrome B and cytochrome F, on the inner side of the membrane, the proton is then released on the inner side of the lumen in the thylakoid, lumen of the thylakoid. Now NADP gets reduced to NADPH, and the enzyme involved is NADP reductase enzyme present on the stroma side. Along with electrons, protons are also removed from the stroma. The proton gradient is important as it is the breakdown of this gradient that leads to release of energy. This gradient gets broken down due to the movement of protons across the membrane through the transmembrane channel of F0 of this enzyme. This enzyme is made up of two parts, F0 and F1. So F0 is embedded in the membrane and forms a transmembrane channel that carry protons across the membrane, and F1 protrudes on the outer surface into the stroma. So this is how ATP synthesis, or we can say phosphorylation, takes place in the thylakoids in presence of light. So it is called photophosphorylation. With this, I will end today's class. Take care.